October 26th, Winnipeg heads to the polls to elect its new mayor. 11 candidates will be on the ballot with a vision of how they will lead Winnipeg for next 5 years. 8 candidates have accepted our invitation to convey their plans and promises. My name is Zuher Almusre and this is Civic Platform. Shone is a business owner, father, husband, and proud Winnipeg resident. Active in the community, Rick is a strong advocate for reducing the bureaucratic pressure on small businesses and looks to promote our city as a tourist destination.
Thanks for having me. First of all, it's always great to meet new people and also be in front of your organization. So thanks very much for that. My name is Rick Shaun, and I'm a candidate for mayor. I'm a small business owner here in Winnipeg. I have a business located at Notre Dame and Isabel, which is kind of close to downtown. And it's a building that I purchased and renovated a number of years ago in partnership with some of the other businesses in the area to try to elevate the area and make it a little bit more vibrant and just be a good community partner to the area. So I'm married. I have 2 children. My kids are hockey players right now, so we're back into the fall and back into the full swing of hockey season. A few years ago when I moved my business downtown, I also became really involved in some of the community. And so this is where my journey getting to know, downtown first and foremost. I've always been a lifelong Winnipegger. And but when I moved downtown, I really started to get to know the area. And I walked the West End, Centennial, Central neighborhoods, and got to know some of the people who were living here. Many are new Canadians. And many are homeless. We have many facing addictions challenges right now. I started to volunteer with Main Street Project from time to time. So that was a very, for me, an eye-opening experience because it really taught me a lot about compassion. And, I always thought I was a pretty compassionate person, but working with the folks there really showed me a different level of compassion. And I've had particular family members over the years who've struggled with addictions. And, so that's been one thing that's been pretty, dear to my campaign as well. And making sure that regardless of all the major topics that we have, the major issues that we face in Winnipeg, or that we think that we face, we need to really always put it into perspective that it's about people first. And so that became the guiding sort of light for my campaign and making sure that we are taking care of people, and particularly those who are more vulnerable in our society as well. So I will maybe just focus on that part of my platform first. One of the things I did bring up quite early on was the need for a supervised consumption site. We are facing a real addictions crisis here in Winnipeg. It's leading to homelessness. It's also contributing to crime and property theft in our city. So not dealing with it and not having a plan to deal with it is a major problem. One thing as a city, anything we can do to increase spaces for rehab or those kinds of things are really important. So particularly in the supervised consumption site, we need a place that people can go to that they do feel is safe. And I don't love drugs, but I do love people. And one of the ways that we can get people in front of supports is by bringing them to sites like this, so we can test their drugs. We can get them, faced with nurses or health workers, and hopefully along the path of recovery. I think it's really important that we as a city, fund more 24/7 safe spaces. We have a lot of people who are not feeling safe in their home, but also don't have a place to go during the day or the evening. And so those are really important things to to look at as well. Moving along into the housing side of things, which is kind of related to what I was just mentioning as well, is that we have a large amount of people experiencing homelessness in our city. They're using the shelters. Shelters are not houses; they're emergency places only. We, as a city, need to be sure that we are always understanding that and recognizing that. So we need to continue to build houses that can get people experiencing homelessness or addictions or mental health, get them into houses first. Once we get them into a place to live with the supports that are needed, now we can help figure out how we can help them on a road to recovery, whatever that looks like for them. And for those who are, challenged with lower income and near the level of poverty, we also have a really big problem on affordable housing in the city. There's just not enough affordable housing, and sometimes that might mean fully government subsidized. Sometimes that might mean income subsidized housing. Interesting fact, like when I moved to the city, when I was 19, just from outside the city, I had no support in the city at all, and I actually lived in an income subsidized place in Osborne Village. And for me, it was a short period of time that kind of got me on my feet for about a year. And after that, I was able to find an apartment space with a roommate and kind of move up from there. But these supports are really necessary in helping people get their footing and making sure that they don't end up on the streets as well. So one of the things I quickly noticed here in the West End is we have a lot of vacant houses. And these vacant houses can be, if they're actually renovated or sold to people who will renovate them, we can put them back into the housing stock. And a lot of them, especially in the West End, Central, North End, this could be affordable housing for people. It's lower income or government subsidized housing. But because we have about 700 of these sitting on the sitting vacant today, it's a major problem. And, so I would like to take a tougher stance on that. And I have announced a tax of 2% of the property assessment if it's sitting vacant for 6 months. And that would just be, incentive for landlords to either renovate or sell the house to somebody who will renovate it and put it back in the housing stock. Along those lines, on being able to build better housing, more affordable housing, I started also looking at parking minimums. So many people don't know what this is, but when you're building a building, right now we have a standard that says if you build a building of a certain size, you have to put in this many parking stalls. A lot of times, some houses and some developments are getting what's called a variance, so they can get around those parking minimums. But if you don't, what it does is it increases the cost of the overall project. It increases the footprint of the property and spreads the city out, contributing to sprawl. There was a housing project we are just working on just the other day, right here near Notre Dame and Isabel on Harriet Street. It was a great example because it's a housing complex that is hoping to house low-income seniors. Okay. And they, of course, run up into many obstacles along the way. And one of the obstacles was parking variances. So again, I was able to be a delegation to that project, which was great. But those kinds of things hold up the projects for months and months. And oftentimes they do end up costing the project, significant time and money. And for a small developer, like in this case, who's investing a lot of their either their own personal money or money that they've found through grants or funding, it could potentially cause the project to fall apart. And those are things we don't want to see happen. So increasing the affordable housing stock is very, very important, to our city. Just kind of continuing along on the design of our city. I spent a lot of time downtown. Downtown is a very important part to me, always has been through my entire childhood. And I think my vision for downtown is a place where people live first. Too often in the past, We've tried to build a downtown that was a commercial district and entice business to move down there. The challenge with that is that over time, if big corporations or business are finding that it's not cost effective, they'll often move out to the outskirts. But generally, people who live downtown and like living downtown don't do the same thing. So I would like to see many more residential developments happening downtown, which will then lead to a better feeling of safety, more vibrant downtown. There'll just be more things to do. I think it will lead to a lot of small businesses coming back, like restaurants and pubs and coffee shops and those kinds of things. Those kinds of things that make a vibrant downtown very, very vibrant. And in turn, they also make it quite safe. Okay, active transportation is also a really big thing for me. Making sure that we look at ways to get people out of cars and potentially into buses or in the active transportation, bikes or walking. And again, that comes back to how we design our city and making sure that we are designing a city that is more dense from the core out and creating neighborhoods where they're more walkable, they're more community oriented, they're generally become safer, people get to know each other better. So urban design is a major part of my platform as well.
Head to winnipeg.ca for further details on candidates and voting information. This is Zuher Almusre, and this is Civic Platform. Thank you for watching.